Is there any truth to the stereotype of the conspiracy theorist being paranoid, in your opinion? That's what this video is intended to be about, and there's a very good reason why I was inspired to make this video, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But before we get to that, I'm just going to ask you a simple question. Do you think there is any validity, do you think there's any good reason for why some people believe that conspiracy theorists can be a little bit paranoid, if you're being completely honest with yourself? I'm going to do my best to keep this video to less than 10 minutes because I'm meant to be not making YouTube videos anymore for the next few weeks, and there's a good reason for that. But I couldn't help myself tonight because I watched a video today which inspired me. I didn't really watch the video, I turned it into an MP3 file and listened to it when I was doing my daily exercise and sun routine, and it was terrific. So I want to talk about that in a moment. But tonight I thought I want to put this video out there and just get some opinions from people and also share my opinion as well. Now, in doing this work, in running my YouTube channel and running my website and producing podcasts and videos and this kind of thing, I've been very fortunate. I've got to meet dozens and dozens of people, real life people. I've got to meet them in real life, and they've found me through my work, through my online work. And so there's already almost like a filter. You know, if they see my work and they want to meet up, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get along or that we're going to have similar ideas or beliefs, but generally speaking, it's fair to infer they're probably going to be more open to what I'm open to than the typical person. I think that's a fair inference. And generally that's how it's borne out. That's how things have worked out. And I can tell you, I have never met, of all of the dozens and dozens of so-called conspiracy theorists, I've never met anybody like this. Never. Not even close. Not even close. So I don't believe in the meme of the conspiracy theory with the tinfoil hat. I don't believe in that for a second. And I've probably met more so-called conspiracy theorists than most people, I would think, and gotten to know them better as well. And I've never met anyone anything like this. However, in my time in this scene, I have met and I have observed countless people who display genuine signs of paranoia and paranoid delusions. And not only that, but if I look back a couple of years, I think I was displaying signs of paranoid delusions as well. Because what I believed was that these truths that I had uncovered, that they were meant to be kept hidden. They were meant to be kept secret. And so the group who was responsible for hiding them wanted to stop people like me from finding them out, and then if we found them out, from sharing them with other people. Okay, so I thought there's this group of people hiding the truth and then trying to stop people like me. They will try to stop my YouTube channel. They will delete my videos. They will delete my entire YouTube channel altogether. They might even send letters to me to threaten me, or they might send emails to me to threaten me, or maybe they might even send people to threaten me. You see? Maybe. Or they will send people to spy on me who've been paid by the group to stop me. These were some of the beliefs that I had to one degree or another. So belief in this sense isn't so much a binary of don't believe or do believe. It's more of a spectrum. And a couple of years ago, I was more on the spectrum of belief that even if this wasn't necessarily going to happen to me, it certainly was a possibility. And that's no one's fault but my own. This isn't me trying to blame the so-called truth movement for this. This is just how things were at the time. And a large part of that is because that's who I was surrounded by. I was surrounded by people who, they knew that 9/11 wasn't what we were told. They knew that Boston bombings wasn't what we were told. And so we all seemed to have this thing in common. And what these people all believed was that there were these people out there trying to stop us. And so it is a group paranoia, it's a group delusion. And it is very easy to fall into that kind of belief system when that is what you're surrounded by. And that's what happened, I think, in my case. Now, since then, I've been able to move beyond that, to reconsider my beliefs, and through running my YouTube channel and never having the people shut down my channel or anything like this, it's forced me to reconsider my premises, and I've worked out that a lot of those premises were unfounded. And maybe later in this video I'll talk more about that. But my point is simply to say that I don't believe in the conspiracy theorist tinfoil hat meme. That's obviously nonsense. It's not real. Not based on what I've seen. However, the idea that so-called conspiracy theorists can be paranoid and even delusional, 100% that is true. I can speak from experience, and I can tell you that that's what I've observed, and I can tell you that's what I still observe to this day on a regular basis. Now let's try and fast forward through here. So today I listened to this recording by Calcified Lies. He uploads these as YouTube videos, but what I do is with his videos I just rip them to MP3 and listen to them like podcasts. Now this Calcified Lies guy, you probably haven't heard of him, but I'm here to tell you right now that in the 4 or 5 years that I've been doing this dude is one of the sharpest dudes that I've seen so far. That's not to say that I agree with him about everything, because I don't. And it's not to say that I think that he is necessarily a sage or a guru, because he's not. But some of the things that he's picked up on and some of the things that he has shared are way ahead of the pack, way ahead of the pack. And his work influenced me as well. In fact, he wrote a piece called The Skeleton Key a few years ago. And I first read it properly for the first time at the start of last year. And it was basically my gateway into what we call synchromysticism. This idea that these so-called coincidences that we see in major media events and these sorts of things, it's not necessarily that they're coincidences, and it's not necessarily that they're truth in plain sight. There is actually another explanation which makes way more sense. And when you study sync, you start to learn about some of these things. But I was pretty much oblivious to all of that until I read this piece, and it led me to go and do more research. I found a whole bunch of other things, and here I am 18 months later, and sync is a big part of what I do. It's a big part of how I live my life now. And don't even get me started. I mean, just tonight, some of the things that happened, I can't describe to people. It's crazy. You know what I mean? What can I say? But the point is, this guy had a huge influence on me back in the day. Now, he currently believes, as far as I'm aware, that I'm a paid shill. He believes that I'm a government agent. Not only that, he believes that I'm working with, or that whoever employs me is working with, Clues Forum, who've also called me a shill, by the way. Fakeologists, where there's several people who call me a shill. Hoaxbusters, Lester Medium, who people accuse of, people say is me. People say I am Lester Medium, or that Lester Medium is me, that we're the same person or whatever. Terran Downvale, he says that we're all the same people, basically, or that we all work for the same company or whatever. Something like this. This is a broad idea of what he's trying to suggest. Now, he made these accusations against me when I was promoting his work on the Reddit conspiracy. So I was doing what I could to promote his work, and he accused me of being a paid shill. Such was his level of paranoia that someone who was promoting his work must be. Now, in his most recent video, which I'm going to link to in the info box below, he spends about 40 minutes explaining how he has come through the paranoia and he feels like he has progressed. And it's a terrific thing. What is it, 40 minutes? Man, I listened to this today. It was terrific. It was terrific. Today I probably went for my exercise about 5 o'clock, so the sun was going down, and maybe not every day, but most days I try and go to the park and do pull-ups and push-ups and stretch a lot and try and get some sunlight. Like, maybe not look directly at the sun, but look near about the sun and sort of take in the energy. Because anybody who tells you that the sun is a ball of hydrogen or helium or fusion, that person is either a moron or a liar. One of the two. Usually a moron. Most people are morons. If you believe the sun is just a ball of hydrogen and helium, you are in fact a moron. I'm sorry to have to tell you that 10 minutes into a video, but that's a fact. If you believe the sun is made of hydrogen and helium and is just some ball undergoing some kind of fusion or nuclear reaction, you are in fact a moron. Now, the good news is you can undo the programming. Okay, you've been programmed to be a moron. But this isn't the video to help you with that. But anyway, the point is, once you understand what the sun is not, you can reconsider it. And so now I enjoy getting sunlight, direct sunlight, looking towards it, and hailing the sunlight. It's fantastic. And when I do that, I like to listen to things. And I've pretty much run out of podcasts to listen to, unfortunately. So when people like Calcified Lies upload their latest material, I'm pretty much listening straight away. And this one, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's terrific. 42 minutes long, which, by the way, 42 is a huge number in sync. Gigantic number in sync. If you have read the sync books, you know why 42 is important. So I don't know if he did that by accident or whatever, but anyway, terrific piece of work that he's released here. I recommend you go and listen to it. And so what I'm wondering now has he moved beyond the paranoia? Has Calcified Lies moved beyond the paranoia? Or is he still going through a kind of dissonance? Because in this piece, he recounts an anecdote. Recently, he went to a wedding of like a family member or something. And so it was away from where he lives. So he was in like an Airbnb or something. And he had to go to a gym, but all the gyms were closed because the weather was, there was like a hurricane or something. So he couldn't find a gym to go and work out at. But he found one gym that was open. But it turned out it was a military gym. But then the military let him in, like the guy at the front of the base let him in, got him a pass to go and use the gym. And what CL, I'll just call him CL, what he was basically saying was that a past version of him probably would have been too paranoid to take up that offer. Like, oh, no way am I using your gym, man. You're the military. I'm not going to use your gym. I don't trust you. But now he understands that he's a nobody. The military is not going to set like a honey trap gym to get him in there to then shut him up, to kill him. He realizes that's not going to happen. And so what he's basically saying is that he's come a long way from the paranoia of the past. So what I'm wondering now is, would he revisit the things that he said in the past about how he thinks that myself and fakeologists and all these people are paid shills? Would he revisit that? Now, if you're wondering, JLB, why are you mentioning all of this to us? Why don't you mention it to him? Well, I did. I left a comment. I said thanks for the video and basically just sort of pointed out that in this video, he seems like he has transcended the paranoia, but my most recent interaction with him, he hadn't transcended. So I'm wondering, is there a dissonance? Is he going to review what he's said in the past? I mean, that's up to him. And if you think this is me taking it personally, you can't. When you do what I do, you can't take this personally. You can't let people accusing you of being a paid shill get to you. Because if you did, you'd quit after the first week. Literally, my first ever podcast that we did, the first ever live stream, there was someone accusing us of being a paid shill and making videos about me and the guys I was doing the podcast with being paid shills. This is when we had like 5 or 10 live viewers, man. We had no platform, we had no audience, we were nothing. And yet, after our first live stream, some dude called Adam Dwyer was calling us paid shills and making videos saying we were paid shills and trying to like do background checks on us and all this kind of shit. That's just how this scene works. And I think it's one of the reasons why so few people progress in content creation, because they get burnt out. Most people can't handle getting called a paid shill, which is basically like this version of a demon or a devil or a bad man, a boogeyman. Man, most people, when they're trying to do good, it's one thing to get called names and to be accused of things when you're just doing nothing. But when you're trying to do good work, it's compounded. It compounds the toll that it can take on you as a person. And I think that's just that's one of the reasons why so few people do this. That's one of the reasons why so few people who get into content creation really go far with it, because you just get burnt out with the attacks. And so I've managed to come through all of this, and for reasons I won't go into here. Before I got into this game, I had a thick skin. I had to develop one very young. So getting called a paid shill, yeah, it did piss me off at the start, but not enough to stop me. And so I've been here doing this for long enough now that it's not a matter of taking it personally. It's more a matter of, this is one of the smartest dudes who I've met in the scene. And here he is saying that he's sort of transcended the paranoia. And it's, again, you have to listen to this for yourself to understand. It's terrific, in my opinion. And so it's like, well, has he really transcended the paranoia? Because if you still believe that there are paid shills out there to stop you, if you still believe that whoever runs the show, whether it's the government or the Illuminati or the military or whoever you think is responsible for this, if you still believe that they're paying people to come and stop you, then you are operating under a paranoid delusion. That is the fact of the matter. People come back to me and they say, oh, what about Alex Jones? Isn't he? Okay, that's not what people are talking about. Okay, is he paid and does he shill for shit? Yeah, of course. But that's not what the conspiracy culture, that's not what people like Calcified Lies in the past are suggesting. They're suggesting that people at our level, people at my level, look at me, man, I've got 7,000 subs. Now, am I happy that I've got a YouTube channel with thousands of subs? Sure. I never expected to even get 1,000 subs, so I'm happy about that. But I'm a nobody, okay? What's that? Let's say 7,000 subs. That is a nobody, okay? I am a nobody. The idea that people with 5, 10,000 subs, even 20,000 subs, that they're sent by the government to do what? To do what exactly? If you really believe that, you are operating under a paranoid delusion, is the fact of the matter. Going back to Calcified Lies, he was on Fakeologist as a guest before he started accusing them of being paid shills. In fact, he was on episode 117, which I remember very well because to me 117, that's up there with number 42 in terms of sync. For me personally. 42, I wouldn't call it objective, but it kind of is an objective sync. 117, that's kind of more subjective for me personally. But yeah, this Calcified Lies guy who went on Fakeologist, which is a website that I've had heaps to do with over the years, he was on their show as a guest. Later he accused them of being paid shills, and everybody associated with him of being paid shills. And yet his guest appearance was number 117, another sync number. The guy who got me into sync, which has had a profoundly positive effect on my life, he was a sync number guest on Fakeologist, who is subsequently accused of being paid shills. And of course now he accuses me of being a paid shill for promoting his work. Despite the fact that I'm a nobody. Okay, 7,000 subs, nobody. That's the fact of the matter. You have to understand, you could speak to 10,000 people, the 10,000 people in your town or city, none of them have heard of me, okay? If you meet a single person out of that 10,000 who has ever even heard of me, that would be amazing. I'm a nobody. And if your YouTube channel is 5 or 10,000 subs or less, which is 99.9% of people who watch this video, you are also a nobody. And I'm not saying this as a put down or as a criticism of you or of me. This is just a fact. The masses don't care. And not only that, but the people who run the show, why do you think they made the moon landing? I mean, let me look it up right now. Look at this thing, okay? Look at this thing. Sticky tape, cardboard, aluminium foil. This is a joke, man. If they really wanted to keep the truth from the masses, why would they make this stuff so silly? Or that what was that? Letter bomb in the news last week? Look at the photos of the letter bomb. It's a joke. They didn't even try to make it look like it had been sent through the mail. They made it a joke. Look at the footage of the planes going into the towers on 9/11. Okay? They could have made those look realistic. They didn't. Why? Because it's a joke. So this idea that the people who run the show are so desperate to keep their secret that they would send paid shills to this level of the internet, how do you reconcile that with how silly they make their footage? Now the programmed response is, oh, they're doing that to put the truth in our faces to joke with us. Okay, so if they can joke with us about this kind of stuff, why the hell are they scared of some YouTubers with a few hundred subs or a few thousand subs? Do they have to send counter YouTubers? Think about this logically. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I've kind of gone a bit of a ramble here. There's other stuff I wanted to talk about. So look, am I proud of my YouTube channel? Sure. Am I happy that, I've got a video with 700,000 views. Am I proud of that? Sure, yeah. But I'm a nobody. And I know I'm a nobody. And you should know I'm a nobody. And you should know that all of us at this level, we're nobodies, okay? This is just how it is. Some people don't want to hear this because in their mind it's like, oh no, we're part of it, this big resistance. And it's like, if you want to believe that, that's fine. I'm not going to try and take that away from you, but it's a joke. That view that you have of the world, this delusion that you're fighting some war against some other team, that's a joke. It's a delusion. It's a paranoid delusion. And it's just as silly to me as this is. Just as silly. I've met lots of conspiracy theorists. None of them are like this. But several of them do believe that they're fighting some war against some group. And that they're so important that whoever is in charge of this is is trying to stop them, which is a joke. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on was one of the members of my website suggested that I go and watch this film, which I think I saw it when I was younger. Some of it seemed familiar when I watched it recently, but for some reason, a lot of the members of my site give me terrific suggestions for films to watch. And I kind of consider myself, like, not a film buff, but some of the, I don't want to say most important, but some of the, let's just say most important, some of the most important films in conspiracy culture, at least as far as I'm concerned, I kind of consider myself, maybe not an expert, but I've done some pretty cool analyses in my opinion, so I've got a good grasp of some films, but there are some I just haven't seen, or that I haven't seen for a long time. And so one of the members of my site recommended that I go and watch this. So I did. The other day I went and downloaded it and I watched it. And I didn't really get it for the first, I don't know, 20 or 30 minutes. Didn't really get it. I didn't like it. But then I worked out what it was. And it was very enjoyable. And there were some parts that are very funny. Like laugh out loud funny. Man, I've taken way too many black pills. It's hard to make me laugh these days. I used to be a much funnier person. I'm not so funny these days, but I used to be kind of funny, and I used to have a good sense of humour. But it takes a lot to make me laugh these days. But there was a couple of scenes in this film that actually did make me laugh, and it was pretty enjoyable. So, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. I enjoyed it, and thanks to Nightly News for recommending it to me. In this film, one of the recurring themes is this idea that this guy has to buy the book Catcher in the Rye. The book Catcher in the Rye. And of course, Catcher in the Rye is significant to conspiracy culture because supposedly there's been some shootings where the perpetrators have referenced the book, or they've had a copy of the book on them, or something like this. Now, I haven't gone and done an analysis of the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan or on John Lennon, so I don't know if those shootings were real. I would doubt it, but maybe they were real, I don't know. The point is, they embed these kinds of tropes in mainstream film. And it can be difficult sometimes to separate the chicken from the egg. You know, how much of what we think we know about conspiracy was stuff that we worked out, and then when we found people who knew what we knew, we built an affinity with them. And how much of what we think we know is simply because we've heard it from so many people so many times that it becomes true to us. And I think the Paige Shills meme is one of these things where people have heard it so many times from so many people, they've just taken it on board. They've never actually seen any real evidence of it, ever. They've seen some things that they can say, oh, that's because of a Paige Shill. This guy who runs a YouTube channel or a podcast, he's saying stuff that I disagree with. He must be a Paige Shill, yeah? So it's circumstantial at best. But in terms of real evidence, they've never seen any. They've got none. There is no evidence for this belief they have. And so anyway, the relevance here is just that a lot of people know of the story of Catcher in the Rye, the book that supposedly is tied in with these shootings. How much of what they think they know comes from their own research, and how much comes from, you know, what's embedded in pop culture? And what you have to understand is that conspiracy culture is a form of pop culture, and it always has been. And that's a funny thing. Calcified Lies pointed that out maybe a year ago now. He made a video which he's since taken down, sadly. I think he's taken it down. He took a whole bunch of his videos down, where he pointed out the timeline going right back to the Ron Paul thing from 2007? Ron Paul through to Zero Hedge, through to the Boston bombings, Sandy Hook, all of these truthers that popped onto the scene, all this kind of stuff. Terrific timeline. So he was pointing this kind of stuff out a long time ago. He understood a long time ago that, or at least he seems to understand, that conspiracy culture is a form of pop culture. A lot of conspiracy theorists think they're part of some kind of counterculture, right? That's kind of one of the selling points, like, oh, we're alternative, we're going against the pop culture. That's something that people seem to want to believe. But in fact, it's very easy to demonstrate that conspiracy culture as it exists today is actually just part of the broader pop culture. Very easy to demonstrate that. And what's more, I can even demonstrate that it has been this way since the JFK so-called assassination. I don't have time to go into that in this video today, but if you want to look into it, you'll find the same thing. It'll take your time, of course, because a lot of people will be like, oh no, I want a video or a podcast, you show me. No, if you go and do the work, it'll take time, of course, but you will find the evidence. What we think is counterculture conspiracy isn't and never was, ever. But that's another topic for another day. So again, the relevance is just that this film is one small piece of an example of how a lot of what we think we know about conspiracy culture, it's been embedded right from the start. It's not what people want to believe that it is. It's not what I used to want to believe that it is. And yeah, so I've been going on way too long. I'm sorry. I meant to make this a short video. I couldn't help myself. I wanted to make this video tonight. So Calcified Lies made a terrific video. I'll put a link to that in the info box below. He wrote a sensational piece a few years ago called The Skeleton Key, which had a huge influence on me back in the day. He was a guest on Fakeologist, episode 117, huge sync. That was a good call as well. That was one of Ab's best interviews in my opinion. I'll put a link to that in the info box below. As for me, am I proud of my YouTube channel? Sure, in a way. But, man, they could delete this tomorrow. It wouldn't be the end of my world. I've got a website now that's going well, and YouTube has kind of served its purpose, and I went through it. I went through the whole Paige Shill's paranoid delusion, man. I went through it. Again, this is bullshit. This never happened. This will never happen. This is a joke. This is a meme. But some people here are paranoid and delusional. And you can transcend that. You can move on beyond that. I have. I hope that this guy has, although I'm still, I'm hopeful, but we'll see, I guess. And a lot of what we think we know about conspiracy culture, we think it's a counterculture. It's not, never was. And what I'm going to be doing next year, and I explain it in this piece on my website, is I'm going to be traveling to meet more people. So all of the so-called conspiracy theorists that I've met so far have been here in Australia. But next year I'm going on the road. I'm catching a plane out of Australia and I'm meeting people. And there's a whole bunch of people in America, members of my website, who've said, JLB, come to America, there's a place to stay. So I'll go to their place and I'll stay for a few days here and a few days there. Maybe a few weeks in one place. Who knows? We'll see what happens, right? It's going to be terrific. And these people wouldn't be offering me a place to stay if they hadn't already worked out that there's nothing to be afraid of. But some of them still, because they've spent so much time in this scene, are still going to have this little nagging thing in the back of their head. Yeah, but what if? And when they meet me in real life and they see that I'm just a person, I'm just a nobody with a few thousand subs on a YouTube channel, big deal, it's going to be further confirmation for them that actually there was never anything to fear in the first place. And the idea that there is a joke. And the idea that someone's trying to stop you, that is also a joke as well. And so if you want to hear more about my plans for next year and where I plan to be and what I plan to do, you can go and check out the website. I'll put a link in the info box below. And you might be wondering, well, how can I afford to do that? How can someone afford to travel around the world? Well, there's a few factors that are involved in it. One of them is I live a minimalist lifestyle. I'm still wearing t-shirts from last time I went overseas. I went to Singapore and then to London and then into South Africa in 2010. I've still got t-shirts from that trip that say, I heart Singapore. No word of a lie. They cost me like $2 Singaporean dollars. I've still got them. The little love heart has faded away. You can't see it. So it basically just says, I Singapore. I've still got them. I still wear them. All right, I live a very minimalistic lifestyle. But also what I've managed to do over the past couple of years is monetize this website and build up a small but growing membership base. And each of them parts way with the equivalent of 1 cup of coffee per week. 1 cup of coffee per week, and they're members of the site. And thanks to their support, and thanks to them trusting me enough to use PayPal to sign up to the website's now generating enough money for me to go and be what they call a digital nomad. And some of you know what the digital nomad scene is, and you know that a lot of digital nomads are complete wankers, and that is true. That is true. I don't plan to be one of those people, but just as a way to describe the general idea of being location independent, well, that's my future now. And the reason it's my future is because I was able to first get into conspiracy culture, become a content creator, but then move beyond the paranoia that happens in this scene. And I know that this video might get 500 views. And of those 500, maybe 50, maybe 100 will watch to the end. Of those who watch it, the majority who believed in paid shills at the start of this video will still believe at the end and tomorrow and the day after. But if even 1 or 2 people can see this video and reconsider what they think they know about conspiracy culture and what they think they know about how the world works and the supposed counterculture that they think they're in, if it can assist even 1 or 2 people, then it's been worth the 30 minutes it took me to record it, and the 30 minutes it'll take me to edit it, and the 30 minutes to render and upload and make a thumbnail. And I might be up until midnight tonight, but it'll be worth it. It was worth the time. And when I do leave YouTube, or when I do cut right back on making YouTube videos so I can focus more time on content for the site, this is probably one thing that I'll miss. I'll miss just being able to share these ideas with people and put my ideas out there. But YouTube really has served its purpose at this point. That people are always going to be paranoid and delusional in this scene, and nothing that I ever say or do is going to change that. So while I like to share my perspective with people, it's not my job to help people out of that mental quagmire. And if you're stuck there, it's not my job to help you. And I wish I could, but this video is pretty much the best I can do at this point in time. This is pretty much all I've got, guys. If you want to believe that there are people trying to stop you, then that's what you're going to believe. That's what you're going to believe. For those of you who are interested to know more about the website, by the way, the foundation memberships close in a couple of weeks. Now, what that means is that anybody who signs up before then, it'll continue to be a cup of coffee a week to remain a member, even when the plans change. You will always be on that. It's called grandfathering. You'll be grandfathered on that plan. New members in the future going forward, it will be more expensive because there's a much greater back catalogue there now, and that's only fair. So if you are interested in joining the website of a so-called conspiracy theorist who used to be more paranoid and delusional than he is now, that's for sure, but these days he's a bit more circumspect, and he's actually meeting real life people in real life and planning a trip to meet more people in real life. And maybe some of them will go on camera. Like, I'm sure some of them will be like, nah, I don't want to make any videos with you, JLB, but I reckon 1 or 2 of them, once I get there and they meet me, they'll be like, sure, let's make a video. And I'll get to show the members of my site, these won't be for YouTube, I'll get to show the other members of my site, hey, here is insert person. And I've got there's a couple of names in my mind where I think they'll be keen for this. But the point is, there'll be members of my site where it's like, see, meeting a person in real life, there's absolutely nothing to worry about. And anyone who tells you that there is, they're just as deluded as the people who believe that the sun is made of hydrogen and helium. It's a complete delusion. And just like sunscreen, I think it's not healthy for you. You're slopping the sunscreen all over your body, all these chemicals, to avoid the good energy of sunlight. You are deluded. You're afraid of the sun, so you're doing something stupid. Just as if you're afraid of boogeymen, then okay, you're not this stupid. This is a joke, but maybe you're having a worse effect on your life than you realize. So we'll leave it there. This is JLB 18101. I number all of these videos, so I've already made 2 more videos this year than I planned to make. There won't be as many YouTube videos for the next few days and weeks. The reasons are explained in my recent piece. Where is it? Just scroll down here. Beyond the wireframe mesh. So yeah, thank you for watching till the end, for hearing me out. Especially a big thanks to those of you who leave comments in the comments section below. I generally do not delete comments unless they are abusive, in which case I do delete them, but you won't know that your comment's been deleted because YouTube doesn't tell you that. So you'll think that your comment can be seen, but it can't. So don't waste time being abusive, but share your comments about any of this: conspiracy culture, Act Realm, paid shills. Do you still believe in paid shills? Do you think you've got a good reason for believing in paid shills? Did you used to believe in them and now you've moved on? Anything like this, leave comments in the info box below. And go and check out Calcified Lies video before he deletes it, which he tends to do. Go and listen while you still can. Go and check this piece out. Only for those with long attention spans, man. It's a detailed piece. Take you half an hour to read, but it's worth every minute. Go and listen to this if you're looking for podcasts to listen to. It was a good call. This is before Calcified Lies started accusing people of being paid shills. My YouTube channel, you're watching it right now, so don't need to mention that. Conspiracy Theory. Thank you, Nightly News, for recommending that one to me. I enjoyed it. Once I got it, I enjoyed it. I didn't get it the first 20 minutes. I took it too seriously before I realized, oh, this is a joke film, and then I enjoyed it. My website, yeah, I'm very proud of this. If YouTube ever shut me down, well, too bad. I've still got my website, which is going very well. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of the super agents and to the Foundation members. And you can join as a Foundation member. You've got a couple of weeks to go before I bump up the price. So get in before I bump up the price, and you can join a whole bunch of people who, some of the members of my site still believe that the people who run the show are evil, and some of them might still believe in paid shills, but most of them are at least open-minded to the idea that we've got nothing to fear. And it's cool to talk with people who are no longer afraid. It's nice to be around those people. So yeah, if you're interested, go and check the info box below. Oh yeah, in the lunar module, if you still believe that this thing actually went to the moon, then you are in fact a moron. This thing did not go to the moon. This thing is a joke. And if you can't get the joke, nothing I say can help you. If you believe sunscreen is good for you, I can't help you. And if you believe paid shills are coming to get you, then ooga booga booga, no one can help you because you're deluded. That's the fact of the matter. So on the 3rd of November 2018, John the Bond signing off, and until next time, you guys take care of yourselves. Oh, and calcified lies, man, if you see this, I don't care what you think about me, but your work truly was life-changing for me, so thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. And I hope in time you can one day realize that I'm not your enemy. I don't think you even have enemies, but if you do, I'm certainly not one of them. And when I get to America, my friend, I would love to take you out for a cup of peppermint tea and have a laugh about how paranoid and deluded we used to be, if you're up for it. Hopefully you are. That would be pretty cool.